Now let's check YouTube. Just making sure that the audio is good as well. Okay. Start by creating a PNG of me. Oh, delete that one. There. Oh my god. And oh, whoops. Adjust this a bit, make it bigger. Just so it fills up the whole eclipse. Seems pretty good. So this is a good level for the music. Question how to export a picture of human as PNG in Affinity Photo.
A transparent background PNG in Affinity Photo 2. So when you do this, generally you just go to File, Export, right? But even if it's set on PNG, you still see that white background, right? But even if it's too. So how to actually alright, in today's video I'm going to be talking about how to actually export a transparent background PNG in Affinity Photo 2. So when you do this, generally you just go to File, Export, right? But even if it's set on PNG, you still see that white background. The easiest way to export your whole document with a transparent background is go to Document, Transparent Background, and then go to File, Export. And as you can see, it is
I see. So let's say let's start by resizing this whole thing. Document, transparent background. Okay. Okay, let's see. And then she said export as PNG. What if I change this? Just save the measurements. And then if I change this to 3000 for instance, what happens? Um, 3 by 3508. Call this video. Video avatar, I suppose. Nice. Okay, let's see. I found a video not... Well, on my way back on the train, I found a video that's really, really good. Word by word.
I've been trying to configure this field for an hour, but this mini universe of creative potential. And for most of us, and now I go back over and click on the keyframe again. What I've now back over is indicate change, meaning that if I start at frame 0, second 0, position 0. So if I now drag my playhead back to the beginning, hit play, our little buddy slides on screen. And I recommend using these little arrows to navigate back.
I have DaVinci Resolve here, and can I somehow... What if I just click here and then add my... Oh, whoops. Then add my video avatar to DaVinci there.
Back and forth between your keyframes, because what can happen is if you are at a random spot on your timeline and you accidentally change that property, it introduces a new keyframe. So now we have 1, 2. DaVinci Resolve is like its own. Now level 1 starts right here.
Alright, I think that we are just going to start with level 1 to begin with, just to do some basic stuff. I have a basic of the idea of how it works with keyframes and such, but I think that is probably... I think it's probably a good idea to just get just a refresher on how to actually do this stuff.
The only thing you're going to need to understand are these guys. This column of diamonds are called keyframes, and it is the basis, the fundamental, the foundation for all of our animation principles. In essence, all a keyframe does is indicate change, meaning that if I start at frame 0, second 0, and I turn on a keyframe for our position property.
Let's see if we can just start by adding it to the timeline to begin with. Yeah. Look at that, man. Do I need to add a background or something?
You're all a fundamental frame does an identification for all of our animation principles. In essence, all a key one's frame skill. Go just create DaVinci Resolve steps that could unlock. I'm going to take you from trainee to keyframe savant, and it starts right here at level 1. Now level 1 starts right here in the edit page. And the only thing you're going to need to understand are these guys. This column of diamonds are called keyframes, and it is the basis, the fundamental, the foundation for all of our animation principles. In essence, all a keyframe does is indicate change, meaning that if I start at frame 0, second 0, and I turn on a keyframe for our position property, I jump forward 1, 2, 3 seconds. And now I go back over and click on the keyframe again. What I've now told DaVinci is, hey, I want to change something at second 0 and second 3. If I were...
So we go here, save position, we start there in the position, then we say 1. Oh, let's maybe make it a bit shorter, and then I believe we can zoom in on the timeline in a way I just remembered. 1. So if we just remove that and then zoom more in as much as we possibly can. So now 1, 2, 3. So 3 seconds like this. Then we set keyframe again.
Or to play this though, nothing changes because we haven't changed anything. Our position is 0 at both locations. I can now use these little arrows to jog back and forth between our different keyframe locations. If I go back to the beginning, what I can now do is drag our picture off screen. And what we've done is said, hey, I want you to start at this position, picture off screen. And what we've done is said, hey, I want you to start at this position, and 3 seconds in, what I can now do is drag our picture off screen. And what we've done is said, hey, I want you to start at this position, and 3 seconds in, if I click our little arrow to jump back, I want you to return to position.
Why do I keep pressing the wrong button? Then I say here, then I say I want your positions to be. He did something. Didn't he just scroll? If I remember correctly, he just did some scrolling in one way or the other. But let's say, for instance, start position 0, I say -1. Nothing happened.
Zero. So if I click our little arrow to jump back, I want this position, our picture off screen. And at the beginning, what I can now do is drag our picture off screen.
Drag. Ah, I see. So I see. Okay, and for those people that that are wondering what I'm doing, is that on the whoops. Oh my god, what did I do? Control Z. Yeah, I just clicked in this box in the position X, and once I click, you will notice that my mouse disappears, and then I just drag my mouse to the left. That's pretty neat. So I assume that it will just slowly So this is millisecond. Ah, I see. So let's say we remove that. We remove that keyframe, and the sound is still good. Seems like it. At least my mic still picks stuff up. That's nice. So what I did here was not 2 or 3 seconds. It was actually 3 milliseconds. So this is 3 seconds, I assume. It is, yeah. Okay. I understand. So we have keyframe here. And then we move it here. How do... Ah, he presses shift. I press shift, and then with the... what do we call those? The arrow keys? The arrow keys on my keyboard. I can move 1 second at a time, it seems like. Okay, that's pretty cool. And then we set one more there, so we can jump between the keyframes here. Nice. And here we just move my avatar out of the picture. And then now our avatars should just slowly move out of the picture when I press play. And I did that with space key, or... That's pretty cool. It looks a bit freaky though when my avatar moves. I'm not sure 100% what's happening there. If it's just because it's a black background and then it just looks a bit funny as it moves. Not entirely sure, but let's see. All right. So that was level 1.
And what we've done is said, hey, I want you to start at this position, and 3 seconds in, if I click our little arrow to jump back, hit play, back and forth between your that proper key over here. But with that, you have officially animated your very first thing in DaVinci Resolve. Doesn't look fantastic though. Let's make it better.
It does.
Flat is because we are moving at one speed, or we are moving linearly, meaning we're going from point A to point B with no change or variation in our speed. There's no acceleration or deceleration, or in animation terms, there's no easing in or out. So level 2 is going to introduce some easing for your animation. This is actually going to be 3 tips in 1. There are a few options on the edit page to introduce easing. The first way you can do is you can actually right click on that keyframe and it'll give you an option to ease in. So if I click that,
Ease out. Ease in. Let's see. I think just to follow the tutorial a bit better, I'm just gonna do so I have somewhat similar as he has. And then we're gonna jump 3 seconds forward. Insert another keyframe. And then we say, I want you to come in at 0, which is right there. Yeah, right there. Nice.
now it's not going to seem like a drastic change at first, but as this thing comes back to the middle, it's going to slowly decelerate until it comes to rest. Now that takes us to tip 2 of level 2. If I want this to feel a little bit faster, there's this little diamond icon on the layer itself on our timeline. If I click that, it's going to give us this little drop-down menu where we can see our keyframes. Well, let's say I want this to only be 2 seconds
That's pretty neat.
long. What I can do is I can grab our keyframe and bring it in. And now if I were to play this back, it's a little bit more noticeable, but let's say I want to speed this up even more so that it's only a second long. Well, I can drag my playhead to 1 second and grab and drag that keyframe over. Now that sucker really whips in on screen. That feels like it's a little too fast now for me, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring this back to 2 seconds. Now you might be thinking, how do I fine tune this? Well, what we're gonna need to do is uncheck our diamond here, and we're gonna click the next button next to it, this little curve. This is our spline drop-down menu. If I click that, now we
And this happened because he pressed the ease in up here. So if I move the keyframe to like 2 seconds. Then here I go. That's pretty cool. Oh wait, that's actually really nice. I think it looks really cool. I mean, I think that's probably something already that can be used in videos already.
got this big graph, and this is the current spline for our X position. If you're ever wanting to change the property here, you can go into this little drop-down menu and toggle on which property you would like to spline. And now what we can do is we can drag and select these handles, and let's say smooth this out just a smidgen so that we're looking a little bit more parabolic. And that's gonna look something like this. A little bit more natural. Now, if you didn't like math or physics in school, that's okay. I'll judge you a little bit, but most of the time when we're talking about naturally moving objects and shapes, they're gonna have some kind of exponential function attached to them. And all that means for your splines and your curves, for your animations, is that they're gonna have some ramps up and some ramps downs, and they're gonna look like some U's and S's for the most part. There's no one right way to animate things in and out. You just might have to do a little bit of digging to figure out what you feel like looks best. Now with these drop-down menus, we get a little bit more control, but it's still not a lot of control. And that takes us into level 3 is plugins.
Okay, so it just says fast and then slows down. Like that. So this is position X. Oh, whoops, what did I do? Control Y. Oh my god. Redo. Yes. That is position Y or... Oh no, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm back to square one. I'm back to the same as I was before. Where there, say ease in, I move it closer to around. This is
Yeah, for the most,
I didn't
drag
quite.
and select these handles, and let's say Going from point A to point B, it's not going to seem like a drop down menu. It whips in for our X position. If you're ever wanting to change the property,
this position X. Take out position Y. And I want this to be at 0. All right.
here you can go into this little drop down menu and toggle on which property you would like to spline. And now what we can do is we can drag and select these handles and let's say smooth this out just a smidgen.
So he marks it like that, and then he gets the handle here where I can move it. Oh, I don't get a handle when I choose this though. Hmm. Yeah, I think it's case that of I think it's a classic case of I probably just have to use the tools more and then I will just get used to it.
So that we're looking a little bit more parabolic. And that's gonna look something like this. A little bit too. Is plugins. Yeah, use a plugin. Now I know what you're probably thinking. You might be a little mad at me because you're like, Brandon, if there's a free plugin, why can't I just use that? Well, for one, sometimes it's good to learn how things work. And for two, there's one thing my dad taught me. It's that life isn't fair and you can't always get what you want. Your best bet is probably gonna be Magic Animate from Mr. Alex Tech. He's got a free and a paid version. You could also use Easy FX from a friend of mine, Sleeveless. He's got a free and a paid version. And you could also use Jake Whip's Editor Collection. He's got a free and a paid version. Which is best? I don't know, whatever one you want to download first. They're all going to work great and smoothly for whatever you're trying to animate on screen, and each of it's going to have its own set of perks and bonuses.
I will be honest and say I have no idea what a plugin is for DaVinci Resolve, but I assume that it's like a macro of some kind that you can drop in, attach it to a picture, and then the plugin makes the picture do stuff, or just something happens on the video.
Depending on what you decide to go with. But they all operate fundamentally on what I'm going to show you here in this next tip. Yes, Fusion. We are going to use Fusion. That little
How to delete comments in your Twitch chat. Settings icon on the bottom left. Chat settings. Scroll to mod tools. Show mod icons. Click the delete message. Delete message. Okay, that was pretty nice. But I'm actually just a little bit surprised that having the mod tools icons were not a default in the chat though. It seems a bit odd that I have to go into settings and select the icons that allow me to delete stuff. It seems a bit odd that that is not default, that I can just click, delete, easy peasy.
magic wand. If you do not use this page, you might as well use Premiere or Final Cut or CapCut or Filmora or anything else, because the whole point of using DaVinci Resolve is that it integrates 4 professional grade softwares to one package. Well, technically 5 if you count the cut page, but that place is scary. And Fusion is the place to be for animation and compositing. So if we ignore Fusion, we are ignoring a better version than After Effects. Yeah, I said it. Have I used After Effects for anything besides an Envato Elements template? No. Nodes over layers, baby. Anytime I coach somebody or anytime I work with somebody when it comes to making their edits better, I always say the faster you can get into Fusion, the faster your videos will get better more faster. There's going to be a lot of ways to get into Fusion, but the way I would like you to practice is to go over to your Effects tab, go to the Effects drop-down menu, and drag and drop in a Fusion composition. Let me go ahead and make mine 5 seconds long. Now I'm working on a 1080p timeline at 30 frames per second. Does this matter? No. But if you were curious, now you know. Now, a Fusion composition gives us a blank canvas to work with, a blank clean canvas to work with, I should say. The question you might have is, well, why don't I just go into the Fusion on the image on the timeline? And I will show you why in just a second. Until then, let's go ahead and take our Fusion composition and hop into the Fusion page. You can do that by clicking the little magic wand, or you can right click on the Fusion composition and hit open in Fusion page. And uh-oh, it's different.
Say delete, go to effects, drop Fusion composition, add it to B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's actually exactly 5 seconds long, so that is perfect. And we don't have the open in Fusion option.
Open in Fusion page.
Ah, there. And as I said, boom, it's different. Okay.
And uh-oh, it's different. I think this is where people can get overwhelmed. Let's do a 30-second rundown of the Fusion page. This area down here, this is your workspace. This is where we do things with nodes. This is where we make things happen. Anytime you open up a Fusion composition, you will have a media out node. At the end of our composition, our node structure, all roads will lead to the media out node. We will connect to this little yellow arrow here. This will be the Finder tab. We also have a couple of new fun options that we'll get to. The rest of these buttons you don't need to worry about. Don't worry. Shh, don't worry. It's okay. The only other thing I'll call out is that you can split your preview window into 1 or 2 windows, depending on how. As eventually, when you buttons do you need nothing displaying on the preview window, but that's dotted underneath in our preview. And in here, sometimes when I start talking about Fusion, is that I don't want to waste your time. If you're a hobbyist, you should probably stop here. Meaning, if you don't plan on editing, most effective weapon for you will do is click in your workspace and hit Control Space. This brings up your tool menu. There are
Why is the spline open? Show me selected tools. Nope. Show none. Nope. I can just move it to the side. Nice. And then I can move it in if I want to. Nice. And can I move this? Oh, like that. Nice.
are some default tools that you can use on this row right here, but the tool menu is going to be your go-to.
Oh, right. I forgot why I went to this control space and I get the tool menu. Nice. Look at that. We're already improving.
Option for selecting and finding any tool or macro that you have saved. And the node that I would like you to add is a background node. If you start typing in background, it'll display here. Go ahead and either hit enter or click it. Now we have a background node. Wow. So you guys, you're already there. Now nodes can be a bit funky for anybody who's never used them before, but the words I like to use to describe how things work is what sees what and what feeds into what. So right now, again,
What?
ARM sees what. Words I like to use to describe how things work is what sees what and what feeds into what.
What sees what and what feeds into what? That makes absolutely no sense to me, but I'm sure it will when I start to work with it just a little bit more. Just gonna grab some coffee. And we got some coffee. All right, moving on. Control and spacebar, and we can get a background node.
So right now, again, our media out node isn't displaying anything, but that's because there's nothing feeding into the input here. If you're ever curious what one of these little knobs is, you can
Right.
hover over it and it will tell you. It'll say, this is the input for media out 1. This is where we need to feed something into that node. So if I take our background node, I take the output, our little square Lego knob, click it, hold, and connect it to our media out node. Now we can see our background node. And that's because our media out now sees our background node. Now, why do we start with the background node? Well, the background node is going to give us a clean canvas to work with. This is the big reason why we do it in the Fusion composition instead of working with the raw image on the timeline. I don't actually want the color black to be displayed on our timeline, so what I'm going to do is make it transparent by clicking on our background node, going to our inspector menu, and then dragging down the alpha value until it's 0. Now we've got our little checkered background here, which means that this is transparent. If you can master this next concept, you can master anything in Fusion. So I'm gonna go over to the upper left corner this time, and I'm gonna open up our media pool. It's gonna be the exact same thing you'd see on the edit page, and I'm gonna go to the folder where we have our logo here in Fusion. So I'm gonna go, you can master this next row. Now we're going to our inspector menu and then dragging down the alpha value.
Go to the node. Then we have that. How do I make you nice? Then I can say red, green. Then we can mess around with colors. Then we get a purple, nice. Or we can just pick here whatever color that we want, I presume. So we want this purple-like color. I can press OK, and it doesn't change. Lovely. Custom colors? No. Pick here. That way. See. It's pretty cool. Then alpha is no background. Then if I say image, so let's try, let's say blackboard background, like the one I had on my last thumbnail. I believe it was this one I had, but I'm not 100% sure. Um, let's just take this one as an example. See my media pool? I can. Can I say paste? I cannot. Can I drag and drop? So if I do this and hmm. Find a more complete. Just something that is more green instead. Maybe it's fine having a more cartoonish one. Having the more cartoonish. Okay, so let's say that we say this image. What the F is a weep file? A weep file. Oh, I've never heard about that one before. Weep file. Is this the same image? JPEG, nice. Green board background. It is there, nice. Then I drop that. Then if I drop it in here and I cannot do that. Probably need a merge node, I think. But I believe that he will
Value
go
until
over
it's
that later.
zero. Now we've got our little checkered background here, which means that this is transparent. If you can master this next concept, you can master anything in Fusion. So I'm gonna go over to the upper left corner this time, and I'm gonna open up our media pool. It's gonna be the exact same thing you'd see on the edit page, and I'm gonna go to the folder where we have our logo here, drag it, and drop it in. And now we have a media in node. Media in nodes are used to represent video, stills, images, some kind of file being fed into the Fusion page. Now, just because I dragged it in, we don't see it, right? Well, that's because it's not being fed into anything. There's no way for a media out node to see our image node because the information provided from this node isn't being connected anywhere. But check this out, doesn't mean it's not there. The cool thing again with the Fusion page is I can hit 2 and I can see our image right here.
Hit 2. Ah, nice. Ah, I see. Then it shows. This one's transparent. Yeah. I see.
Now you'll notice that the little white dot also transferred over to our media in node. And if I go back and forth, I can change what node I'm previewing on the Fusion page. So how do we connect this guy to our media out node? Well, your first inclination would be to just connect it here. And the problem with doing that is that we now change our frame size to this really weird number. We got 591 by...
Wait, I don't think I could do that, could I? Or if I drop that, I can. Ah, nice. Look at us. We are learning so much today.
by 688. And the big issue with doing it like this is that you're not going to have any real estate to animate your image left, right, top, bottom into frame. So let me hit Control Z once to swap back to our background being fed into our media out here. And I can resize our window here by going up to this little top menu and hit fit.
Let's get back to the video after the ads. I really need you to premium or something like that. It's starting to get quite annoying that ads keep running when I'm trying to watch a video. And especially also for the content of the stream, it also ruins it a little bit if people try to follow along and then some ads pop up out of nowhere.
Pull up. We're going to use a merge node. If you've already used merges, congratulations. For anybody who's never used a merge node, what a merge node does is replace layers. Okay, it's going to be the way that we say top, bottom, foreground, background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select our background node, hit Control Space, type in merge. We got a few options here for merging, but we just want our standard merge node. Add. Because I had our background node selected, it's going to insert it into our Fusion pipeline here, our tree, our branch of our Fusion chain. And if I hover over this little yellow icon here, that indicates that it is the background. It's going to be behind whatever is placed into the green input here, or the foreground, which is on top. Go ahead and ignore our little blue arrow here for just a second. If I take our output from the media in node and connect it to the green input here, we can now see our image connected to our Fusion pipeline. Again, the concept I want you to remember with merge nodes is top, bottom, foreground, background. What is on top, what is on bottom. And the blue inputs we are not going to need for this example, but the background. What is on top, what is on bottom. The concept I want you to remember with merge nodes is top, bottom, foreground, background. What is
Foreground, background. So whatever we want in the foreground stays on top. Whatever we want in the background stays on the bottom.
top, what is on bottom. And the blue inputs we are not going to need for this example, but those are going to be your mask inputs. If I were to drag and drop in a circle here and connect it to our mask input on the merge node, this is what we use to hide things. But again, for this example,
Ooh, that's pretty neat. What if I drop that in, and can I rename this somehow? I mean, I assume that I should be able to rename it. I mean, otherwise this is going to be really messy really quickly. Really? Just practicing my English a little bit. Oh, there, rename. Oh, I have two. Avatar. And green board. Then control space, merge. Get a merge node we want. What was this at shift? Between there. And I could say in, oh, here. Nice. And can I zoom it a bit in and out, maybe? Full frame. Trim, maybe? Or maybe not. Uh... Code first frame. How can I zoom out just so you can see the whole thing and not just some of it? Let your freak flags fly, I'll make it all the time. Gonna feel so right. Is it here? With? Ah, it's because I have to click. What did I say, 100? That doesn't change. It seems like it's just locked. I mean, I can't really do much. I'll zoom in and out of background picture. DaVinci Fusion. suppose that in the end it's not that important. Or it's at least something that I can investigate myself. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that I have to do. Merge background. Call that. And then we want another merge node where I can add that as well in there. And we add our avatar. Oh, it's here. Nope. And again, how do I adjust the size of this thing? Oh, it's in the merge node I do that. Oh. I see, I see. I feel like I'm learning a lot at the moment. Haha, we are learning stuff. It's definitely more natural to have me on that side. Boom. This is quite impressive, I think. It's actually starting to look like something. So I go to the event. Then it's just that being there. And is this milliseconds?
We're not going to need it. And if you've made it this far, you've almost completed level 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click our merge node and I'm going to hit control space and start typing in transform. Now there's 2 different transforms that live by default within Fusion. We're going to work with the one with XF after it. You could work with either. Generally speaking, the one with the XF after it is a little bit smarter when it comes to animations. So that's the one we're going to work with. So go ahead and hit add. And because I had the merge node selected, it's going to add it after our merge node. If yours didn't get added into the pipeline, what you can also do is hold down the shift key to drag and insert nodes. So I can hold down the shift key, hover over the line itself. You want to make sure your mouse is hovering over the line itself and let go. And that'll insert it into this pipeline. And to finish off level 4, we're going to do the exact same animation, but we're going to do it a lot better in Fusion. I'd like this to be a 2-second animation, so I'm going to go over 60 frames. I'm going to set a keyframe on the center.
Oh, it's frames. Ah, okay. Now it makes much more sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. So we have 190 frames. So if we do some quick math here, we know that it's 5 seconds. So if we say 19 divided by 5, then we have 24 frames per second. That's a bit odd, but okay. Yeah, but it is what it is. I'm not sure what to say.
Position. And then I'm going to go back to the beginning and set a keyframe at the beginning.
Oh yeah, right.
I'm at frame 0. What I can do is I can drag this up off screen. If I hit play, it's going to slide in. This is great, but
Okay, so we click this and we move this. But how?
because we're in
What did it
Fusion,
do?
we have access to all of the advanced tools we need to make any kind of animation. Fusion, we have access to all of the slide in. This is great, but because
Okay, so he adds the transform. Did he add the? Oh my god! Did he add the one with or without the XF?
because we're in Fusion, we have access to I'm at and set a keyframe at the beginning position. So I'm going to go animation, but we're going to do it a lot better in Fusion. I'd like this to be a 2-second animation, so I'm going to go over 30, 60 frames. I'm going to set a keyframe on the center position, and then I'm going to go back to the beams. I'm going to set a hold down after. So go ahead and hit add. When it comes to animations, so that's the one we're going to work with. So go ahead and hit add. And because I had the merge node selected, it's going to add it after.
So he added the transform XF. But does it then move? Okay, it moves everything. And the aspect ratio as well. Wait, what? What did I do? Oh, whoops. So I get in there and here we can just choose different aspect ratios. Let's see, 1 and have it spin around if that's what we want, if that's what we're into. But I think at the moment we just want to keep it fairly flat. What I want to know though is because, I mean, let's say that I have the background here. I mean, I understand that now I transform everything that comes from here and feeds into this. What if I just want my... Oh my god. What if I just want my avatar to move? Do I then add it in here, or I can? Okay. Then it's just the ah. I'm really feeling like that I'm learning quite a lot at the moment. The only question I have here is there a way that instead of seeing the timeline in frames, then I can see it in seconds instead? Like, because at the moment I know that the clip is 5 seconds long, but it doesn't really help me if I don't know how many frames I have to move it. Let us say that I want an animation to take place over 1 second. It makes it a bit impossible to know how many frames do I have to, or how many frames do I have to span the animation on if I don't know how many seconds that is. How how do I know how many seconds, how many frames a second is in Fusion? That is not DaVinci. Oh, you know what? Ah, it says here 24 frames per second. Okay, so it was actually true when we did the quick math of dividing the 119 frames by 5 seconds. Then we actually got it in to 24 frames per second. So it's actually accurate. But alright, but that means then. New items, great update. Alright, so. So let's say that 0.5 like that. 0.5. I can, okay. That's not what pivot does. Sender is moving it out of frame. And Y is going up and down. I see. All right, I think I understand. Why don't it have some music on? So what I want is go all the way back. I want to move you out of frame. Then I want to set a keyframe. Then I want to move, and I can move forward with the arrow keys. Ah, it does move, okay. What about control? So let's say around 19 frames. Put another one. And then we want my avatar here to move. Seems correct. Okay. That's very, very slow though. Is it possible for me, like... Ah, there are some extra stuff here. Ah, and all of these are different notes. I see, I see. Is there a way for me though to get... I can see the keyframe there, but I want it just like in the edit page where I can visibly see the keyframes where they are, but I can also drag them to the frame where I want them. So I fairly quickly can test the different speeds that the image is coming into the screen in. Oh, what I'm doing now. Oh no. What did I do? Oh no, I did something I weren't supposed to. Oh well, let's do this little dance again then. Let's say 60 instead, so it goes a bit faster maybe. or maybe 770. Keyframe there. And then we have my avatar come in there. Then we play. And then he slowly comes into frame. All right.
After our merge node. If yours didn't get added into the pipeline, what you can also do is hold down the shift key to drag and insert nodes. So I can hold down the shift key, hover over the line itself, pipeline, go back to the beginning and set a keyframe at the beginning. But now since I'm at the beginning frame and I'm at frame 0, what I can do is I can drag this up off screen. If I hit play, it's going to slide in. This is great, but because we're in Fusion, we have access to all of the advanced tools we need to make any kind of animation that we want. And the way that I'm going to suggest you do it is you go up top to the spline menu and you open up your spline menu. Before we finish off this effect, the one setting I want to make sure you have turned on here for the spline menu is in these 3 dots over here. Make sure show only selected tool is on. If you start working with a bunch of different nodes, what can happen when you open the spline menu is that all of the nodes are going to appear here. We just want the one we got picked, so we want to make sure this is toggled on.
See, I had the spline menu over here. Show only selected tool, so that's quite nice. All right, that was easy. Done.
Now you can see we've got our displacement or our position keyframed here. I can go over to these little arrows in the top right corner, placement or our position keyframed here. I can go over to these little arrows in the top right corner here to resize our spline. And now we can actually visualize the path.
What I want to see is how did he actually select the transform node?
Turned on here for the spline menu is in these.
He just selected it, or does it? I want to work with this. Wait, what did I do? Did it remove my keyframes again? You can't be serious, bro. Oh my god, bruh. Bruh. Oh wait, they are there. Or what? I mean, the keyframes are there, and I can clearly also see that the values change, so why does my avatar here not move? Oh wait, 2 seconds. Ah, I see. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Yeah, for those who don't know what happened, it was because that the way to remove notes, how to say it, to remove a node from the path here, you use press shift and then you release it, and when you press shift and then just tap it, then you also release it from it, and then now suddenly it doesn't work anymore. Oh wait, just for experience sake. So if I add this to the background, does that mean that the background moves? Yeah, it actually does. Nice. All right.
These three dots over here, make sure show only selected tool is on. If you start working with a bunch of different nodes, what can happen when you open the spline menu is here and connect it to our line itself. As we're in Fusion, we have access to all of the advanced tools we need to make any kind of animation that we want. And the way that I'm going to suggest you do it is you go up top to the spline menu and you open up your spline menu. Before we finish off this effect, the one setting I want to make sure you have turned on here for the spline menu, this is great, but because we're in Fusion, we have access to all of the advanced tools.
What I want to know though is why does it not appear here?
We need to make any kind of animation that we want. And the way that I'm going to suggest you do it is you go up top to the spline menu and you open up your spline menu.
Because I didn't. I feel like it just makes it bigger and bigger and bigger every single time that I click on it. Which is not my intention.
Before we finish off this effect, the one setting I want to make sure you have turned on here for the spline menu is in these three dots over here, make sure show only selected tool is on. If you start working with a bunch of different nodes, what can happen when you open the spline menu is that all of the nodes are going to appear here. We just want the one we got picked, so we want to make sure this is toggled on. Now you can see we've got our displacement or our position.
But I do not see that. Show all? Show only? Ah, nice. I see, I see. This is slowly starting to make so much more sense.
I can go over to these little arrows in the top right corner here to resize our spline. And now we can actually visualize the path that our image is taking and how fast it's taking it. By default, when you keyframe anything, it's going to be linear. It's going to go from point A to B in a straight line, which is what we're seeing. We want to start easing out our spline. What you can do is drag and select these 2 points or hit Control A, which will select the 2 points, and then hit F to flatten. And now we have.
I see, I see, I see. What was it he clicked again?
Handles for our 2 nodes, which will what you be taking it. And now arrow, you can see we've got our displacement or our position keyframed here. I can go over to these little arrows in the top right corner here to resize our.
I clicked the same thing, did I not? I feel like there's something. And then F to flatten. All right.
Spline. And now we can actually visualize the path that our image is taking and how fast it's taking it. By default, when you keyframe anything, it's going to be linear. It's going to go from point A to B in a straight line, which is what we're seeing. We want to start easing out our spline. What you can do is drag and select these 2 points or hit Control A, which will select the 2 points, and then hit F to flatten. And now we have handles for our 2 nodes. And all I'm going to do is that I'm going to take the bottom handle down here and drag it up, and then take the top handle here and drag it out to the left. The bottom handle down here and drag it up, and then take the top handle here and drag it out to the left. And now if I were to play this back again, this guy whips on screen and then decelerates into place. And
See, so do it like this. Then he will come in really, really quickly. So this is the value that he ends at. Ah, see. And then he just goes back real quickly. But we don't want him to go faster. I want him to go really fast and then just slow at the end. Right. Let's be never at a higher level though. That's a cool effect. I really like this. I really like it.
last little thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the transform node, go over to the settings tab and toggle on motion blur. And this is what's going to make it look a little bit smoother. Now, this is a fantastic.
Go in here, go on settings and toggle on motion blur. I'm personally not a too big a fan of motion blur, but
Starting point, but we can make it even better. And that takes us to here in DaVinci land. You probably won't ever be too fussed with like actual character, realistic motion rigging, that sort of thing. But there are some fundamental principles when it comes to animating things that we need to respect. Now, a classic example of this is a ball being released from rest. We can take some of these concepts of parabolic motion, elongation, and some elastic bouncing to create a really smooth, fun feeling animation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how I would do it, and then I'm going to also walk you through how you can save it so that you never have to set it up again. Okay, so I'm gonna work with the same fusion composition that we already have set up here, but what I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna click on our merge node here, and I'm just gonna decrease the size of our shark buddy just a little bit. You can hit Control G to bring on an on-screen grid. You can't really customize this as far as I know, but it is useful for kind of referencing and placing things. When it comes to this animation or any effect really that you're trying to duplicate within DaVinci, the best way I recommend to recreate it yourself is to do it piece by piece, element by element. So the first thing that I'm going to do is create our drop in motion. I'm going to animate it in coming from top to bottom. You could do left to right or bottom to top.
Hele familiens varehus med faste lave priser på for eksempel pop-up-telt til 2 personer for kun 349 kroner. Hængekøje og stativ for kun 398 og vores populære basketstativ til kun 599. Hos Biltema. Meget mere end bare bil.
Book med KLM og flyv til Rio de Janeiro og Rio de
Well, that's only slightly annoying with the ads, but it is what it is.
What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete this transform node. Why, you might ask? Well, I'm going to show you. We're gonna go ahead and search for a transform, but this time we're gonna use the other transform node, and here is why. If I add this transform node, hold shift to insert it, you can see that we have our position already split up into X and Y positions. On the other transform node, they are coupled, and what you get is displacement and not change in X and Y position. Why does this matter? Well, it doesn't matter until it does, and this is one of those situations where it does matter. So with our transform node selected here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a little bit before the 2-second mark. So I'm going to go to like frame, I don't know, 55. I'm going to set a keyframe on our Y position, go back to the beginning and set another keyframe. And now I'm going to slide this up off screen. Now with most properties in Fusion, what you can actually do is if you're ever capped by the slider, you can type in a value to go past that max. So I can type in 0.75 and now we're going past that max point. Why did I do it in this order? I don't know. I tend to find that if I start here and keyframe the resting position and then I work my way backwards, it just tends to be a little bit easier for me. Do whatever way you want. Now from here, what we could do, which is actually kind of a cool little trick, is you can drag and select these two nodes or hit Control A. You can right click, go to ease, and when you got some preset easing menus, and the one that could work for you is drag and select these two nodes or hit Control A. You can right click, go to ease, and when you got some preset easing menus, and the one that could work for you is one called Outback Cubic. And what this is going to do, if we look at our spline menu, is it's going to overshoot our final position and then come back to rest. So that's going to look, excuse me, that's going to look something like this. So
Let's see. So I can say ease, and I can use any of them for who knows why.
Overshoot, come back to rest. I want ours to feel a little bit quicker and have a little bit of dampening motion. Again, if you're ever curious or looking for inspiration of motion graphs and techniques, you might just have to do a little bit of Googling. The one I typically look up is ball bouncing. There's a lot of them online. This will give you a rough idea of how to space. This will give you a rough idea of how to space. This will give you a rough idea of how to space. Minute mark, maybe let's, or excuse me, the second mark. Let's go ahead and add a keyframe here.
Is that just is it because it's a pro feature? Is it because it's a pro feature? Is it a pro feature in Fusion to use ease? I cannot see that, but I suppose that it doesn't matter too much. Whatever.
And then I'm going to add another keyframe just slightly above, or excuse me, below our final resting position. And what I'm trying to do is create just like a little dampening until we get to our final spot. Now I'm going to go over to our first keyframe. I'm zooming in and out of this menu, by the way, with control and the scroll wheel. And I'm going to select this, grab that handle and drag it past. This might be a little much, but let's see what we look like. So boom. Yeah. So it's the motion here is a little intense. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to slide it over to the right just a little bit. Bring this one down. If you ever want to slide a point, you can hold down the shift key and it'll hold its height value and you can just slide it left and right. So I did a little toying around and these are the final keyframe positions. We got a keyframe on frame 0. We've got a keyframe on frame 30. We've got a keyframe on frame 47. For this transform node is because if I click 2 here, for this transform as it falls in. Ooh. And the reason we're placing it before is the new transform node here. And this transform we're going to click on our, but this is my final spline curve and what I'm working with. From here, what we can do is click on our merge node, add a new transform node
Transform
here. And this transform we're going to use to change the angle as it falls in. Ooh. And the reason we're placing it before this transform node is because if I click 2 here and I scrub, we're going to be able to change the angle without it falling and dealing with any of its position on its path falling in. We hit 2 on our immediate out again so that we got it on screen. And for clarity's sake, let's go ahead and rename these real quick. So I'm going to select this new transform, hit F2. And type in angle. And then I'm going to click on this transform node and hit F2. And let's type it drop in. Sure. And again, this transform was the XF transform node, the one we were working with before. You could use either one. This one's just got a nice, very clear, specific angle.
Right. Roll. That's where I can probably do something like this, right? All right.
Angle slider. So all I want to happen here is at the very bottom of our drop, I would like our angle be tilted down. You could have it tilt to the right. You could have it tilt to the left. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. Let's go ahead and have it tilt to the right just a little bit. I'm going to set a keyframe on this angle, and then as it comes to rest, which was, I think, frame 58, I'm going to click on our angle property and type in 0. And now what's going to happen is as it falls in an angle and then slowly comes to rest. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit sneaky. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on our angle transform node, hit control space, and we're going to add in a new transform node. Again, we're going to go with XF, and we're going to add it in between angle and drop in. Why is that? Well, this is an optional step. But if I go back to our ball example, right? The ball stretches as it falls in. So we're going to do a little bit of that as well. Not too drastic, but as this sucker...
Køb Oreo og vind koncertbilletter fra Ticketmaster. Deltag på oreofun.dk.
Design meets passion. New Saffromat hob from AEG.
begins to
In
fall
case you guys are
in.
looking
We're
for
going
a
to
new one.
keyframe the aspect ratio. Not a lot, just a smidgen. And then as it hits the bottom, we'll bring it down so it kind of flattens again, just a little bit, not a lot. As it begins to come to rest, go ahead and turn this back to 1. So I put a keyframe on frame 6, frame 15, frame 35. And if I wanted to, I could open up our spline menu here for the aspect ratio one, drag and select these nodes and hit S to smooth them. F is flatten, S is smooth. Now, if I were to play this, boonk, flatten, S is smooth. Now, if I were to and if I wanted to, I could open up our spline menu here for the aspect ratio one, drag and select these nodes and hit S to smooth them. F is flatten, S is smooth. Now, if I were to play this, boonk, whoop, we got a little bounciness to our shark buddy. Now, the final step that I would do is I would go to our drop-in node, go to the settings tab and turn on motion blur. And if you wanted to, you could go over to your motion blur and increase the shutter angle to increase the amount of spread, and then increasing the quality will increase the number of copies it has for the blur. If I were to play this back, now we've got a nice little bounce in, and you can see it looks really fun within these opening seconds right here. Now, the last and most important step to level 5 and really to all of this infusion is to save it so that we never have to do this again. It takes 2 seconds to do, and it's a little bit intimidating, but I will walk you through how to save it. What we're gonna do is create a macro. And if you've already done this before, thank you for watching the video. Nice. If you haven't, it is going to be a game changer for you and your workflow. Drag and select these 3 transform nodes, not the others, just these 3 transform nodes. Whatever nodes you want to be included and saved, drag and select those. What you're going to want to do is right click on any one of them, go to macro, create macro, and it's going to pop up this crazy looking window with all sorts of numbers and properties. And what are we looking at here? All we're looking at is every node that we have selected and all the properties associated with those nodes. So right here is our angle drop down menu. If I were to click on the angle node, you can begin to link properties across the screen. So we've got our controls tab, controls drop down, center property, center, pivot, pivot, etc., etc. If we don't actually need to really touch any of this, all I actually want you to do is just rename it. So go ahead and we want save as group. And by default, it's path direct, sticking with it set up. We've got our drop in bounce macro. Hit add. I can delete these nodes. Click this group macro, hold down the shift, insert it in here, and now again, we have our animation ready to go. And if for whatever reason you want to access or change any of these properties, just double click here. You can double click to expand your macro, and now you have your original nodes ready to go. The very last thing I would do if I were editing this for a client is I would add in that wobble node that we made a few videos back. If you're curious how to do that, there will be another link on screen somewhere. And then I'm going to add a drop shadow as well. Now, if I play this from the beginning, you've officially become an expert animator in DaVinci Resolve. I hope this helps you guys. If you have questions.
Well, overall, I would say it was a very nice video. And I think that it has really helped me to try to figure out how do I improve my own videos in quite a significant manner. Because now it's probably going to take some time in the beginning, but I think that I'm on the way to find my own style. And once I think that what I primarily need is try to find some stuff that makes this avatar move in a quite nice manner, and then also have different avatars, just so it's not only this one. Because I think that it's probably going to be quite nice to switch between different poses. And then I need to figure out how do I want these to move in a good manner. So yeah, that was about it. There aren't any people in the stream, but just for the sake of practice and speaking and practice my own English, then I would say thank you for watching, and thank you for the one viewer that jumped in on the YouTube stream, and thank you to the one Twitch viewer who also came in briefly for a couple of seconds. That was really nice. See you all. Hope you have a wonderful evening.